Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
We start tonight with the weather and the changing temperatures.
Adam Caskey standing by with a preview of our Thanksgiving forecast.
And temperatures are falling off quickly tonight. You feel the chill out there right now, and it's going to be a cool Thanksgiving day. Already down to 42 in Kerrville, 41 in Fredericksburg, 47 here in San Antonio. Locally, we're generally in the 40s, a few exceptions here and there. Canyon Lake 54 and Helotes at 52. But here's what to expect tomorrow morning at sunrise. Early on Thanksgiving, lower 40s around San Antonio. You get into the hill country, we'll see some 30s. Comfort 36 along with Kerrville, Bernie, Bulverde 39, even Divine about 43, and Rio Medina 39 degrees. So overall a cool day tomorrow, but I do have the latest information regarding the rain chances. I'll jump into that in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Adam. We'll see you then. The family of a Bandera County man is asking for your help finding the woman investigators believe killed him. Frida Michelle Thomas is now wanted for murder.
1 week after Robert Isaacs was reported missing, his granddaughter spoke with the night team's John Paul Barajas about the questions that her family wants answered.
These images from Robert Isaacs' doorbell camera on November 15th mark the last time Stephanie Holland says she saw her 88-year-old grandfather alive.
We always got together at Thanksgiving. We always watched the Cowboys game together. And the idea that that's not happening, and it's been something I've done almost every year of my life, is it's almost like being dizzy.
Holland says her family doesn't know the woman in the video, but the Bandera County Sheriff's Office says it's looking for Frida Michelle Thomas. She's wanted for Isaac's murder. Holland explained shortly after her grandfather was reported missing, the Sheriff's Office declared his home on Spanish Grand Circle a crime scene.
I do know that they found some trace elements of body fluids at the house, not really distinguishing how much or where.
Body fluids being blood?
That's what we were told.
Wednesday, Holland's family was notified that Isaac's remains were identified as those found November 17th in Crockett County, about 170 miles from Isaac's Bandera home. Holland tells us she wants Thomas and her grandfather's Jeep to be found.
Our holiday is going to be spent getting information out there, waiting for details to come back about this woman and any sightings of my grandfather's Jeep.
Now, Holland says her grandfather's green and black Jeep stands out because of a third tail light that's just above that spare tire, and the picture kind of cuts that off slightly. It also stands out because it has several hunting association stickers on it, and you can see that in both pictures here on the back of the Jeep. Now, if you have any information on that Jeep or have seen it or know anything about Frida Michelle Thomas, you are asked to contact the Bandera County Sheriff's Office at 830-796-3771. Tim, Stephanie?
A warning now before this next story. Some viewers may find it disturbing. Tonight we are getting a closer look at the moment a San Antonio police officer shot a man.
So this happened back on October 23rd at an apartment complex on South General McMullen. SAPD released body camera video from that night. So we want to show it to you here. You can see the officer trying to get the man's attention, or you can hear it in the video. The officer says that the man had a gun in his waistband.
The video also shows the officer getting out of his patrol car, chasing after the man and trying to tase him, but he couldn't. The man then trips and falls.
Now, the officer says the two struggled over the man's gun, and that's when police say the suspect reached toward his waistband to grab it, and then the officer stepped back and shot him several times. By the way, that man died.
Right now, the district attorney's office is investigating. The officer is on administrative leave, which is department protocol. It's a major roadway and it is getting safer for pedestrians. But how far do those safety improvements go?
So if you caught our Westwood Square episode of our Know My Neighborhood series, you saw the concerns that neighbors have about Castroville Road. Some people say that drivers treat that road like a racetrack. And since our episode highlighting those safety concerns, San Antonio police installed a speed trailer with the hopes of getting drivers to slow down.
And one neighbor told us that trailer does make a difference, but they're worried about what happens when it's removed. So we took those concerns straight to the councilwoman, Terry Castillo. She says the speed trailers will not be the end of the pedestrian safety upgrades. It's just one piece in a bigger traffic analysis project.
I think it adds additional data and support for the best product that's going to be installed within the corridor of Dahlgreen and Castroville.
So Castillo says that some of the other plans for improvements there include removing the so-called ramps to nowhere that are the remains of a pedestrian bridge that was damaged earlier this year by a dump truck.
There are no signs of terrorism in a fiery car crash on the Rainbow Border Bridge between the U.S. and Canada. That is according to the FBI's Buffalo, New York office. 2 people inside that car were killed after it sped from the American side of the bridge into a border checkpoint in Niagara Falls. That explosion forcing the closure of 3 other border crossings in the area for a time today. Those gates have since been reopened. Authorities still investigating that crash tonight.
Now, as the Israel-Hamas war rages on, a hostage deal could begin as soon as tomorrow. Tonight, the Israeli cabinet has the list of hostages that are expected to be released. Israel and Hamas agreed to a 4-day ceasefire in order to allow for the release of at least 50 women and children captured by Hamas in exchange for at least 150 Palestinian women and teenagers who are being held in Israeli prisons. Meanwhile, Israel has said that it's open to extending that ceasefire by 1 extra day for every 10 hostages that Hamas agrees to release. Now, back here at home tonight, a push to make period products more accessible. One organization on the Westside is actually working to make that a reality.
Yeah, as Tonight Team's Avery Everett shows us, this comes as the San Antonio Diaper Bank is reporting peak demand for diapers and period products.
On a street as busy as West Martin, there's not much time to look around the neighborhood. But at one Westside bar, they're serving the community more than just a good time.
Those are actually donations.
A pantry filled with period products, free to anyone who needs them.
You have to think about the cost of a box, and some people just can't afford that every month.
A partnership between Chief Lada's Cocktail Bar and the Period Palooza movement, hoping to break barriers when it comes to accessibility.
People see it as it's not their problem. There's a lot of poverty here. There's a lot of unhoused people as well.
If you're just walking down the street, you may not notice the donation box at first, but once you take a look inside, there are already so many donations coming in from all across San Antonio.
We've been checking once a week, and every time we come, there's new products in there.
With the season of giving, the San Antonio Diaper Bank says the need for sanitary essentials has hit a new peak.
We've seen an uptick on the number of items being requested. We're trying to make sure that we're meeting the demand.
And on the West Side, community members are stepping up.
People showed up with donations, and we didn't even ask them to. We didn't even ask them to. They just knew. It was a community.
Something that might look small from across the street.
Our biggest thing is getting people to help us hit the ground to let everybody know that we're here.
But that could soon make a big impact across the city of San Antonio. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We want to remind you to be safe if you're traveling with family. Look at that right there. Yeah, those are vehicles. Those are licensed vehicles. Yeah, Sky 12 captured that video from earlier today. And as you can see, the roadways bumper to bumper with people heading out of town. Wow.
Even the side roads.
Shouldn't be surprised, though. All right. Well, more than 550 turkeys have been prepared to serve more than 25,000 people right here in San Antonio.
It's a heck of a party. And of course, we're talking about the annual Raul Jimenez Thanksgiving dinner over at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. It is an Alamo City staple, free for everyone.
And delicious. Yeah. Doors open at 9 a.m. If you need a ride, Via can take you to the dinner for free.
An update now on a story we brought you last week. The Salvation Army's search for a warehouse to set up this year's Angel Tree operations has ended. They were able to rent a location just in time. Staffers found a facility on the city's northeast side and say they were able to come to a deal with the landlord. Now work for the Angel Tree program can move forward to ensure more than 6,000 kids right here in San Antonio will have a more memorable Christmas.
Still coming up, it's a question. Is it an abuse of power? A Bandera County Sheriff's deputy accused of flashing his gun while confronting a teenager. KSAT investigates those accusations and if the sheriff's deputy faced any consequences. It's after the break. San Antonio, you were there for me, and now we want to do the same for you. When I shared news with you about my miscarriage, I was flooded with your messages of love and support. In fact, some of you even shared your own experiences with pregnancy loss and infertility. I know it's tough, but the one thing I learned from this is that you're not alone. We're not alone. So many people go through this, and that's why on November 30th, we're going to have a town hall here at KSAT that specifically focuses on infertility and pregnancy loss. We're going to have a fertility expert, a doctor, and we're also going to have a therapist. They're going to be here to answer your questions. So here's what you do. You click on this article, scroll all the way down, type in your questions, and then hit submit. We're here for you. And remember, don't suffer in silence.
A Bexar County Sheriff's deputy assigned to protect Judge Peter Sakai accused of flashing a gun off duty while confronting a teenager in front of a home.
The whole thing was just out of control. Like, I thought he was going to harm me and my family or something over a guy going slow and me honking at him.
KSAT investigates. Dylan Collier uncovered footage and law enforcement records from a traffic dispute that escalated.
So I was coming home from the store because my mom sent me to get something.
This 17-year-old asked that we call him Kyle to protect his identity. Heading back with groceries late in the evening, July 6th, Kyle says a minivan in front of him was driving less than 10 miles per hour.
And I honked at him, and then he kept on going slower as we were entering the street. So I honked up and I rolled down my window and I yelled F and move, which was pretty stupid, but I was impatient. I was trying to get home.
Surveillance footage obtained by KSAT Investigates shows the van drive past Kyle's home and pull into a neighbor's driveway just as Kyle arrives. Moments later, the van pulls away as a dark-colored SUV stops in front of the house.
He pulled up. He rolled down his window, said, "We have a problem." I said no.
A subsequent Selma police report, which identifies the driver of the SUV as Bexar County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Hunt, states that Hunt showed up to the home because the teenager was honking at his father. Hunt was captured on camera delivering this message to the teen. The report shows the confrontation intensified, with Hunt getting out of his county-registered vehicle and refusing to leave, despite being asked to leave by the teen's mother multiple times. Hunt, according to the report, pulled up his shirt to reveal a silver gun.
He kind of pulled back his jacket and showed that he had a firearm and displayed it, made it apparent, like, calm down or shoot you.
Hunt eventually left after the teen's mother said her husband was in law enforcement. The family then called police. Selma police responded to the home and took a report. Its chief said the agency did not open a case because no criminal offense was committed, and everything was instead turned over to the sheriff's office. The hostile confrontation took place weeks after Hunt was assigned to the security detail for Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai. A spokesman for Judge Sakai declined to make him available for an interview after KSAT refused to fill out a reporter vetting form that asked for questions ahead of time. In a statement, the sheriff's office says Hunt continues to be investigated by Internal Affairs and by its Public Integrity Unit, the division responsible for investigating criminal allegations against BCSO deputies. This was your first interaction out in the public with law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
How does that make you feel to have this kind of be your introduction to law enforcement?
I know how they're supposed to act, and I think he just took it way too far and was very unprofessional, and he's not supposed to be representing them that way.
For KSAT Investigates, I'm Dylan Collier.
All right, switching gears right now, we want to give you a live look outside. 47 degrees, still a healthy amount of traffic out there as we're looking on the busiest travel day of the year. But all right, for tomorrow, gobble, gobble.
Hey, at least you don't need your air conditioning while driving.
This is true. This is true. Yep.
Better gas mileage, right? I know so many other folks are saying, that's right, better gas mileage. It's that time of year. It's good. A cool Thanksgiving, though. The upside, if it gets warm in the house from roasting the turkey for so long because of the oven, well, just open the windows and let some fresh air in and cool it down. A few sprinkles are possible and temperatures are looking below average for the most part in the extended forecast. Let's take a look at our rain chances. I've got the latest information and I'm keeping it at 20% tomorrow, and that's mainly just a few sprinkles. Then we get into Saturday night and we're up to 30%. That's it for any rain chances anytime soon. Here's the situation. We have some mid-level moisture and energy coming in from Mexico right now. And notice that over the past several hours, this precipitation can't make it past the Rio Grande Valley. That's because it's running into such dry air. It's having a hard time really making its way into Texas. This upper level swirl here, that upper disturbance over Mexico, throwing the energy and moisture our way, it's got to overcome some dry air. I'll get to the dew points in a moment. Let's look at the latest futurecast. I still think it overdoes the precipitation a little bit, but between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., we could have a few sprinkles, mainly along and east of I-35. Very light in nature. Whatever happens to develop and actually make it to the ground would probably be less than 0.05 of an inch. And then after 2 o'clock, the clouds break. We'll have a little bit of sunshine before our early sunset this time of year. And then that'll set the stage for another chilly morning on your Friday. Here's what we have to overcome when it comes to any rain. And I think this is going to be difficult for the precipitation. We'll have rain up in the clouds, but then we have several thousand feet of very dry air underneath the clouds. This is a good example of how dry it is. Dew points 20s and 30s here at the ground. Remember, the dew point, a true measure of the amount of moisture in the air. We've got some very dry air in place right now, and we need saturated air to sustain the rain and for it to make it from the clouds all the way down to the ground. And I think you'll see what looks like rain on your Weather Authority app on the radar, but most of it's probably not going to be hitting the ground. It'll just be detected up in the clouds. A lot of virga tomorrow, the rain that evaporates. Anyway, today I want to talk about Mountain Cedar. It was moderate at 160, so still in the air. The wind shifts tomorrow out of the southwest. So we do anticipate that Mountain Cedar count to drop a bit tomorrow. We don't have the cedar breeze, which is the wind that comes in from the hill country. Temperatures across the state, no air conditioning necessary anywhere. Yeah, a little dance for no AC. I love it. It's the efficient time of year, and for us cheapskates, you save a ton of money. Temps mostly in the 40s, and I like to crack open the windows sometimes like this, or even go for a quick little barefoot walk when it's cool. Just after our summer that we had, I just appreciate it more. Anyway, we're in the 40s. I mentioned earlier, we'll start the day tomorrow. Near 40 degrees for most of us. 43 San Antonio, some mid-30s in the hill country. By noon, we're at 54, 59 the high temperature. We'll squeeze in some sunshine later on in the day, but it will be a gray start to your Thanksgiving. Afternoon temperatures generally in the 60s over the next several days, but below the average high of 69. Will even be as low as 55 for the high temperature by Monday, because we have a weak cold front that's going to be hitting us on Sunday. That weak cold front will drop our temperatures a little bit as we get into the early part of next week. So mornings warm up into the 50s over the weekend, and that's about the only warming we get. And don't forget that slight chance of rain late Saturday could just leave a little dampness for Sunday morning.
I'm glad you're saving money at the Caskey house. The girls are cold. They need the heat on.
Oh,
and
no.
They need the pool heated to swim. So, you know,
oh, wow.
We're
Layers.
Well, it's nice that you have a heated pool, but, you know, someone likes to walk barefoot outside.
Yep.
That's a thing.
The Midwest roots are
apparently.
showing, Caskey.
Yeah. All righty. Let's talk about the Spurs, because, yes, they did lose, but by a smaller margin, 7 points.
Yes, it's an improvement. A little bit of drama at the game. Coach Pop making his voice heard to fans, not liking the boos to former Spur Kawhi Leonard. We'll have more on that game coming up. Plus, we'll get you ready for the Cowboys kickoff against the Washington Commanders. And Tyler Smith tells us what his favorite Thanksgiving football memory is.
Pops on the mic.
Stop all the booing and let these guys play. It's got no class. It's not who we are. Knock off the booing.
Pop telling the fans to lay off Kawhi Leonard, but that's not San Antonio.
Well, I don't believe I've ever seen that.
Wow, just unheard of. Coach Pop lays down the law mid-game, telling San Antonio to quit booing former Spur Kawhi Leonard. And how did Spurs fans react? By booing louder. The San Antonio Spurs looking to avenge Monday's loss to the Clippers, and this time the squad gets their star guard Devin Vassell back in the mix. Let's go to the Frost for the Thanksgiving Eve tip-off. Not the start the Silver and Black wanted. Trailing big in the first half, Keldon Johnson, who led the Spurs in scoring last game, bullying his way to the rim for the bucket and the foul. The Spurs only scored 14 points in the first frame. Different story before halftime. Oh my goodness, Victor Wembanyama floats to the basket for the jam. Another Victor stunner makes it a 3-point ball game. Let's get to another Wemby highlight for good measure. It's Wembanyama with authority. The Spurs hung in there close with LA, but in the end, the Clippers win 109-102. Now, San Antonio was quite pleased with its effort in the loss, but we want to specifically show you the answers to questions from Coach Pop's mid-game announcement.
Well, I think anybody that knows anything about sports, you don't poke the bear. I just told you. I spoke English. I just told you. Anybody that knows anything about sports knows you don't poke the bear. That's my answer.
You don't know what's going on in Kawhi's head. You know, he's done so much for this organization, so there's no need to, you know, disrespect him like that. And I guess, you know, it's part of the game, but at the same time, you know, he's a human too. So at the end of the day, I respect what Coach Pop did.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
Dallas Cowboys right guard Zach Martin says the, quote, real football starts on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys are on a 12-game home winning streak going into their 11th meeting with Washington on the holiday. The Commanders are by far the most common Thanksgiving opponent for the Cowboys. Miami is next with 5. Now, O-lineman Tyler Smith got in the Thanksgiving spirit by sharing his favorite Thanksgiving football memory.
We all remember during Thanksgiving, you know, and Dominican Sue was slighted. You know, I was a D lineman growing up, so obviously, you know, I was a big fan of his work. And, like, he was slighted, he stepped on a dude. Like, he stomped him on Thanksgiving. It was just one of those moments where you're like, man, like, you know, it's not really in the spirit of giving at all. Like, you know, it was one of those crazy moments, but I just remember being at my great aunt's house with all my aunts, uncles, you know, my mom and family, and just seeing that. And that was just one of them crazy football moments that you're like, wow, like, you know, we was part of football history for that. So that was definitely one of my favorite Thanksgiving football moments for sure.
Definitely a core moment. All right, Dallas is going for a third consecutive victory over a double-digit underdog. And after the break, in honor of Kawhi Leonard back in town, we asked fans if they still hold a grudge against former Spur, now Clipper Kawhi Leonard for his 2018 exit. Welcome back. On Monday, during the first meeting between the Spurs and Clippers, our sports photographer Mark Mendes chatted with some Spurs fans to see if they still hold a grudge against former Spur Kawhi Leonard, or have they let things go since he left back in 2018. Take a listen.
Are you still mad at Kawhi Leonard?
Yes, I sure am. He shouldn't have left us.
Man, I cannot stand Kawhi Leonard.
Furious.
Why?
He quit on the team.
I mean, he did betray us. He did betray us. But no, I'm no hard feelings, Kawhi. No hard feelings.
He quit playing in the most important parts of the season. He quit on the team and stopped trying.
He doesn't want to be here. That's fine. I'm still mad at him. I'm not gonna get over that.
I don't ever want to see his face in San Antonio ever again. So, you're going to be a warm welcome? Oh, no way. Boo. All the way down. Are you still mad at Kawhi Leonard?
Heck no. Let things roll. The future's for the Spurs.
Well, there's certainly animosity, but we kind of figured that with all the boos that we've heard over the last couple of days.
Nothing wrong with holding a grudge. I've hated the entire state north of Ohio my entire life. Nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
A cool Thanksgiving, 40s in the morning, only upper 50s in the afternoon, and a few morning sprinkles, but they really shouldn't be problematic for any travel on the roadways or any way else you want to get around. Friday, sunny, 60s. Actually a great day to get the Christmas lights and Christmas decorations up.
Or go shopping, which is what a lot of people are going to be doing.
You can do that too.
Watch Ohio State beat Michigan. That's what I'll be doing.
Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving.